2,000 feet beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, in water so cold it would freeze human blood. A remotely operated vehicle captures something impossible. The footage shows a creature wrapping itself in a cape of webbed flesh, its body turning inside out as crimson spines emerge from darkness. Twin points of light pulse from within the folds, like eyes watching from another dimension. Then, without warning, the creature releases a cloud of glowing particles that hang in the black water like a constellation of dying stars. The scientists watching the monitor fall silent. They've just witnessed the vampire squid's defense mechanism, and nothing in their training prepared them for this. Welcome to the oxygen minimum zone, a layer of ocean where most complex life cannot survive, where pressure crushes steel and darkness is absolute. Here, in what should be an underwater desert, lives one of Earth's most ancient and mysterious creatures. The vampire squid has existed largely unchanged for over 30 million years, a living ghost from prehistoric seas that has outlasted dinosaurs, survived mass extinctions, and evolved adaptations so extreme they challenge our understanding of what life can endure. Its name is theatrical, almost mythological, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, the vampire squid from hell. But this creature doesn't drink blood, doesn't hunt prey with savage efficiency, and poses no threat to anything larger than a speck of marine snow. The German zoologist Carl Chun named it during the Valdivia expedition between 1898 and 1899. When his team first hauled the bizarre cephalopod from depths previously thought lifeless. Under ship lights, its gelatinous body appeared jet black or deep crimson. Its eyes glowed icy blue or blood red depending on the angle, and the webbing between its 8 arms resembled a vampire's cape. The name stuck, even though almost everything about it is misleading. The vampire squid is neither squid nor octopus, but something far stranger. The last surviving member of an ancient order called Vampiromorphidae. It sits precisely at the evolutionary crossroads between 8-armed octopuses and 10-armed squids. A living bridge connecting 2 branches of the cephalopod family tree that split 300 million years ago. Before dinosaurs walked the earth, before mammals existed, in an ocean unrecognizable to modern eyes. Recent genomic analysis has revealed that the vampire squid possesses the largest genome ever sequenced from a cephalopod, more than 11 billion base pairs, dwarfing its relatives. 62% of this massive genome consists of repetitive elements, genetic echoes of its deep evolutionary past, making it a Rosetta Stone for understanding how squid and octopuses diverged from their common ancestor. Fossils tell a story of transformation that spans the age of dinosaurs. The oldest vampiromorph ancestor, Silipsimopodibideni, lived 330 million years ago and possessed 10 arms with functional suckers, suggesting it was an active predator. Fossils from the Middle Jurassic, 164 million years ago, show muscular vampire squid ancestors with powerful suckers hunting fish and crustaceans in shallow seas. Then something changed. Around 30 million years ago, during the Oligocene epoch, vampire squids began descending into deeper waters as oxygen minimum zones expanded in the world's oceans. A rediscovered fossil from Hungary, originally thought lost in a museum fire during the 1956 Hungarian Revolution, proves that by the Oligocene, vampire squids had already adapted to bathyal environments with low oxygen and high pressure. The shift saved them from the extinction event that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Because, while shallow water ecosystems collapsed under asteroid impact and volcanic winter, the deep ocean remained stable, dark, and quietly survivable. Today's vampire squid reaches a maximum length of about 12 inches, roughly the size of a football, with a body that feels more like a jellyfish than the firm musculature of surface squids. Its consistency is gelatinous, almost ghostly, with tissues rich in ammonium that make it neutrally buoyant without effort. This adaptation is crucial because the creature's muscles are weak, energy is scarce, and every calorie must be conserved. The vampire squid doesn't swim through the water so much as glide, using ear-like fins that protrude from the sides of its mantle to literally fly through the ocean in slow motion. These fins flap gracefully, propelling it at speeds up to 2 body lengths per second when necessary, though most of the time it drifts motionless, a shadow among shadows. But it's the eyes that haunt you. Proportionally, the vampire squid has the largest eyes of any animal on Earth relative to body size. Each eye measures nearly an inch in diameter on a creature barely a foot long. They're massive, bulging, and adapted to detect the faintest traces of bioluminescent light in an environment where sunlight never reaches. The optic lobes of its brain are enormous, dedicating vast neural resources to vision in near-total darkness. These eyes can perceive distant flashes of bioluminescence from potential mates or approaching predators, turning the lightless void into a readable landscape of ghostly signals. The creature's body varies from velvety black to pale reddish-brown, depending on depth, temperature, and lighting, though it lacks the sophisticated chromatophores of shallow water cephalopods. Color-changing ability would be useless here, where red light cannot penetrate and everything exists in gradients of blue-black nothingness. Instead, the vampire squid's entire surface is covered in photophores, light-producing organs that can flash, pulse, and dim with remarkable control. These aren't simple on-off switches. The creature can modulate intensity, duration, and pattern, creating bioluminescent displays that range from fractions of a second to several minutes. The largest and most complex photophores cluster at the tips of its arms and at the base of its fins, while the undersides remain dark. The webbing that connects its 8 arms gives the vampire squid its cape-like appearance, and when threatened, it can invert this cape outward, exposing rows of fleshy spines called cirri that line the inner surface. The display makes the creature appear larger and more threatening, though in reality it's entirely harmless. Hidden within pockets in this webbing are 2 retractile filaments, thin sensory organs that can extend well past the creature's total body length. These filaments are evolutionary remnants, modified arms that distinguish the vampire squid from both squids and octopuses. They're covered in tiny sensory hairs and sticky cells, and they serve a function that wasn't understood until recently. They're fishing lines for catching marine snow. Marine snow is the term scientists use for the constant rain of organic debris that drifts down from the sunlit surface layers. It consists of dead plankton, discarded mucus nets from larvaceans, fecal pellets from zooplankton, fragments of dead jellyfish, molted exoskeletons, and countless particles of decaying matter. In the deep ocean, marine snow is currency, the primary source of carbon and nutrients for everything that lives below the euphotic zone. The vampire squid is a detritivore, a scavenger that feeds on death itself. It extends one filament at a time like a sticky flypaper ribbon, letting particles adhere to the mucus coating, then slowly reels the filament back in, scraping the accumulated debris into its mouth. The creature combines the collected waste with more mucus from its suckers, forming balls of concentrated food that it can digest slowly. This feeding strategy requires almost no energy expenditure, no chase, no struggle. It's the ultimate low metabolic lifestyle. Scientists discovered this feeding mechanism in 2012 at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute in California, where remotely operated vehicles captured video footage of vampire squids drifting with filaments extended, passively harvesting the snow. Before this discovery, researchers assumed vampire squids were active predators like their ancient ancestors, but evolution had transformed them into something gentler, slower, and perfectly adapted to an environment where aggression would be wastefully expensive. By scavenging organic particles, the vampire squid plays a crucial role in the biological carbon pump, the process by which carbon from the surface is transported to the deep ocean and locked away for centuries, helping regulate Earth's climate. The habitat where the vampire squid thrives would kill most marine animals within minutes. The oxygen minimum zone exists between 600 and 3,000 feet deep in tropical and temperate oceans worldwide. A discrete layer where oxygen saturation drops as low as 3%. At these levels, most complex organisms cannot generate enough energy to survive. Their cells would suffocate, metabolic processes would shut down, and death would follow quickly. The vampire squid is the only known cephalopod capable of living its entire life cycle in these suffocating depths. Its adaptations are nothing short of miraculous. It possesses the lowest mass-specific metabolic rate of any cephalopod, meaning it burns energy slower than any of its relatives. Its blood contains hemocyanin, a copper-based oxygen carrier that binds and transports oxygen far more efficiently than the hemoglobin in human blood. The squid's gills have an exceptionally large surface area to maximize oxygen extraction from water that barely contains any. Everything about its physiology screams efficiency, conservation, survival. The pressure at these depths is crushing, equivalent to having hundreds of pounds pressing on every square inch of your body. Submarines require thick steel hulls to withstand it. The vampire squid's gelatinous, ammonia-rich tissues allow it to exist at the same density as the surrounding seawater, eliminating pressure differentials. It maintains agility and buoyancy with minimal muscular effort, guided by sophisticated statocysts, organs analogous to the human inner ear that provide perfect balance in three-dimensional space. The creature can hover motionless, rotate slowly, accelerate when needed, and stop on a molecular level, all while expending almost no energy. But what makes the oxygen minimum zone truly valuable to the vampire squid is safety. The zone acts as a natural fortress. Large predators like sharks, tuna, and marlins cannot survive here because their high-speed hunting strategies demand enormous amounts of oxygen. By living where predators cannot follow, the vampire squid has carved out a niche free from most threats, yet danger still exists. Deep-diving mammals like sperm whales and elephant seals can hold their breath long enough to hunt here. Giant grenadiers and other large deep-sea fish patrol these depths. Vampire squid beaks have been found in the stomach contents of whales, seals, and sea lions. Proof that some predators are willing to risk low oxygen for a meal. When threatened, the vampire squid doesn't flee in panic like a surface squid. It has no ink sacs because black ink would be invisible in the darkness of the mesopelagic zone. Instead, it has evolved one of the most visually spectacular defense mechanisms in the animal kingdom. First, it inverts its cape, pulling its webbed arms up and around its body like an umbrella turning inside out, exposing the spiny shiri to make itself look larger and more intimidating. The two largest photophores near the base of its fins begin to glow intensely, resembling twin eyes floating above the creature. Then slowly the vampire squid dims these lights, creating the illusion that it's swimming away into the distance. If this display fails and the predator continues approaching, the squid releases its ultimate weapon, a viscous cloud of bioluminescent mucus expelled from the tips of its arms. This isn't ordinary mucus. It contains millions of microscopic, light-producing particles that glow blue-white in the darkness, creating a twinkling constellation that hangs in the water for up to 9 minutes. The cloud doesn't just confuse the predator's vision, it disrupts their ability to track movement. While the predator investigates the glowing distraction, the vampire squid jets away using rapid fin beats and bursts from its funnel, disappearing into the black void. The bioluminescent particles may also stick to the predator, making them more visible to their own predators, an elegant form of biological revenge. The entire sequence is both beautiful and terrifying, a light show in a world that has never seen the sun. The vampire squid's photophores serve additional purposes beyond defense. The soft blue light emitted from photophores across its body can provide counter-illumination camouflage, breaking up the creature's silhouette when viewed from below against the faint twilight glow that barely penetrates from above. This makes it nearly invisible to predators lurking deeper in the water column. The glowing tips of its arms may function as communication signals, flashing patterns that could attract mates in the vast emptiness of the oxygen minimum zone. Encounters between males and females are rare, given the species' naturally low population density, so reproductive opportunities cannot be wasted. Females store sperm from males for extended periods, fertilizing eggs only when conditions are optimal. Reproduction in the vampire squid is slow and deliberate, another adaptation to deep-sea scarcity. Females produce relatively few eggs, but each is large, between 3 and 4 millimeters in diameter, packed with yolk to nourish the developing embryo. The eggs are released directly into the water and drift with currents, hatching into miniature versions of adults, though lacking the webbing between arms and possessing much smaller eyes. As they develop, young vampire squids undergo what scientists call a double metamorphosis. Early juveniles have a single pair of fins near the eyes. Later, these fins disappear as a new pair develops in a different location. As the animal matures, the fins are resized and repositioned to maximize swimming efficiency. This transformation reflects millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning, each generation slightly better adapted than the last. Research suggests that vampire squids can live for over 8 years, an impressive lifespan for a cephalopod. Most shallow water squids live less than 2 years, their short lives driven by high metabolic demands and predation pressure. The vampire squid's longevity is a direct result of its low-energy lifestyle. Time moves differently in the deep ocean. There are no seasons, no day-night cycles, no rushing currents. Everything happens slowly, patiently, in a rhythm, dictated by the falling snow of organic debris and the occasional encounter with another living thing. Scientific study of vampire squids remains extraordinarily difficult. They live in one of the least explored environments on Earth, deeper than most human activities reach, but not deep enough to interest Hadal Zone researchers. Capturing live specimens often injures them because their gelatinous bodies are fragile, and they rarely survive more than 2 months in aquaria. Most of what we know comes from brief encounters with remotely operated vehicles, flickering moments of video footage captured during deep-sea expeditions. Each sighting reveals new behaviors, new mysteries. Scientists have observed vampire squids agitating bioluminescent protists in the water, stirring up glowing clouds to attract larger prey items, suggesting they may occasionally hunt more actively than previously thought. Fish bones and scales have been found in the stomachs of mature individuals, indicating opportunistic predation when circumstances allow. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute has been at the forefront of vampire squid research, deploying advanced ROVs equipped with high-definition cameras and sophisticated lighting systems that can capture behavior without disturbing the animals. These expeditions have documented vampire squids at depths averaging 690 meters in Monterey Bay, hovering in water with oxygen levels around 0.22 milliliters per liter. The creatures appear calm, almost serene, drifting with filaments extended, occasionally flapping their fins to adjust position. There's something deeply unsettling about watching them on video. They move with alien grace, their massive eyes reflecting the ROV's lights, their bodies pulsing faintly with bioluminescence. You realize you're watching a form of life completely divorced from the world humans know, a creature shaped by pressures and challenges we can barely comprehend. The vampire squid's evolutionary history raises profound questions about survival and adaptation. How did a lineage of active hunters transform into gentle scavengers? What drove their ancestors into the oxygen minimum zone when other cephalopods remained in oxygenated waters? The answer likely involves multiple factors: competition from faster, more aggressive predators in shallow seas, the expansion of oxygen-depleted zones during periods of global warming in Earth's past, and the availability of an untapped food resource in marine snow. Once vampire squids adapted to low oxygen, They gained access to a refuge where few competitors could follow. The strategy worked so well that the lineage has remained virtually unchanged for 30 million years. When your niche is stable and you're perfectly adapted to it, there's no evolutionary pressure to change. Yet the vampire squid story carries an ominous warning for the future. Climate change is causing ocean warming and deoxygenation, expanding oxygen minimum zones across the globe. As surface waters heat up, they hold less dissolved oxygen, and as stratification increases, less oxygen-rich water mixes downward. These expanding dead zones are suffocating traditional fisheries and forcing marine life to migrate toward cooler, better oxygenated waters. For most species, this is catastrophic. But for the vampire squid, it could be an expansion of prime real estate. As oxygen minimum zones grow, the vampire squid's habitat increases, potentially allowing populations to spread and thrive. It's a dark irony that one of Earth's most ancient creatures might benefit from the environmental crisis threatening so many others. The deep ocean remains the largest unexplored frontier on Earth. We've mapped more of the moon's surface than the seafloor. We've sent more missions to Mars than to the Hadal trenches. And in this vast, crushing darkness, creatures like the vampire squid persist, carrying genetic information that spans hundreds of millions of years, living out existences we can barely document, let alone understand. Every vampire squid drifting through the oxygen minimum zone is a time traveler, a living fossil whose ancestors swam alongside ammonites and marine reptiles, whose genetic code preserves secrets about the origins of intelligence in cephalopods, about how complex life can adapt to seemingly impossible conditions. The footage from that first ROV encounter continues to circulate through scientific communities, shared in conferences and research papers. Scientists watch it again and again, captivated by the creature's otherworldly movements, its bioluminescent defense display, the way it seems to materialize from darkness and then dissolve back into it. There's something hypnotic about the vampire squid, something that triggers both wonder and unease. Perhaps it's the eyes, those enormous sphere